It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to RIP Radio Network, which can mean one and only thing, that this is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I hope your bracket isn't already busted. Now, to be fair, they're just the play-in games this Thursday. Normally, this time of year on a Thursday, we're going up against the first round in the tournament, and people are already mad because their stuff is busted early on. So far, I haven't lost yet. I'm still in because the play-in games are not being counted in most of my pools. But the game that I wanted to go the way I wanted it to go was Wichita State versus Drake. Drake ended up winning. Was not the way I wanted that to go. I love the Shockers, man. Who doesn't love Wichita State? They play so much. They have that real fast-paced style, and they're a lot of fun to watch. You love them. You love their stories, but couldn't pull it off this time. Drake is advancing.
It used to be several years ago, one of those number one teams that really didn't get fully appreciated.
Right? Yeah, they were one of those teams that was undefeated and still got a 6 seed or whatever. Yeah. Well, and they're a lot of fun, but they're out. So that's unfortunate. Right now, I think Norfolk State from Virginia is up against Appalachian State from I hate them, and still. I
wonder why.
I wonder why. Yeah, it's not a lot of love for Appalachian State in Ann Arbor, I can tell you that. So, yeah, still nursing that.
It's over a decade. Let it go.
Oh man, never. Absolutely not. So anyway, we are going to do our show because we're not competing with anything important right now. Now, you may have noticed that Brian is here. Brian, our esteemed producer and host of his own show on Fridays, which is the Game Time show. And you had an announcement on that this week, right? You have your next season starting up, your next scheduled.
Oh, next season, adding season continues, depending on how you see it. But we do have next Friday, we have the return of Game Time, and we're pitting Old School Bruja. If you know with that show, it's on Saturdays at 1:30, going up against the Brunch Bitches, who are on Sunday nights at 11. So,
oh man, I know who
they both were on before. Yeah, they were both on before, and the Brunch Bitches won their matchup against. Who did I have them against? Oh, it was against Bonita Show. So BMSTE, and she just dominated that matchup. And Old School Bruja was going up against Spade of Spades the last time they were on, and sadly lost to them. So hopefully either Old School can get a win, or we'll have our first ever 2-0 show.
I think I'm putting my money on Anissa and Brunch. She's a quick one.
Yes, she's very quick. So we'll see what happens next Friday.
Well, excellent. All right, so since Brian's here, we'll let everybody know a little bit later in the show we have a special guest who will be joining us, but we cannot reveal that because it might get us in trouble with the various authorities. But there is a special guest coming on later. I assure you, I'm not making that up. So Brian's going to help us out. We're going to do list time. A little later, we're going to do all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. You never know. You never know what could come up, but we'll have rundown. We are going to talk about what's going on in the news this week. It was a little, it's an unfortunate story. It's a busy week, busy news week. So we'll have all of that stuff, and then later we'll have even maybe a special food segment. I don't know. You never know. You really never know what could happen around here. So Brian, you want to try the word game?
I will try the word game.
Okay, so you got to pick a word, pick a random word. Any kind of word. Okay, You've got your word?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to take a break. So sit back, grab some
Bracket Busters.
It's Leprechaun time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Ripped Radio Network. Yeah. All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is our esteemed producer, Brian. How's it going, Brian?
Everything's well.
Okay, excellent. So now we're going to do part of the show that we call List Time. This is where we're going to, use our crack reporting skills to bring you a list of important information that you probably need to know. Most people know who Elon Musk is, and most people, when you say Elon Musk, will say, oh, he's the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, and amongst other things. But that's wrong. He is not that anymore. Elon has given himself a new title. And according to the company filings with the SEC and all that stuff, his actual job within the company hasn't changed, but his title and the title of the former chief financial officer have changed. So Elon has renamed himself what I think he would pronounce as the techno king of Tesla. But what everybody else looks at and sees tech knocking. The tech knocking of Tesla. So, that's pretty dumb. He's also renamed his chief financial officer, Zach Kirkhorn, the master of coin, as if these nerds weren't already insufferable enough.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. So, in light of this, as you might guess, this is a kind of a business where people want to get attention, and Elon got attention, so everybody else wants to get attention. Various other important, famous celebrities have also retitled themselves.
Oh, okay.
And we have a list of some of those people. Now, this comes from our crack reporting squads all over the country. We're like the wire service. They're just feeding us information, and we distribute that out to you, the listeners.
Yes.
So, none of this is made up. This is all real.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Brian, you want to go ahead with the first one here?
First one, I'm surprised you didn't want to go with this, but starting with pretty much it's with no surprise here is you renaming yourself as the new Radio Talk King. So
that's right.
Put it right there, let people know.
That's a fantastic graphic, by the way. Yes, I am the Radio Talk King or Radio Talking, depending on how you read that. So yes. I maintain that I am Radio Talking all the time. Mm-hmm. Formerly known as Chip. So now you have to call me the Radio Talking. All right, Bob of Bob's Discount Furniture will now forever be known as the Sofa King. He is Sofa King famous, so he needs to be, Sofa King well known. And that's the idea. That's actually a real thing. I don't know if you know that. There's a furniture chain in New York called the Sofa King, and they run TV ads that are exactly what you expect. Come down to Sofa King.
Sofa King, yes.
You got to get here to Sofa King early, because if you don't, all of our couches will be Sofa King gone. It's fantastic.
I went to New York only one time, New York City one time, and seeing those type of commercials is so funny. It is so
really funny. Sofa King. All right, go ahead with number 3 there, Brian.
All right, number 3, we're going into the basketball. Since LeBron, he's giving up his title as the king. So, and pretty much him and his cohorts take over the NBA as well. So why not? Hey, let me be commissioner. So yes, right. LeBron King James is now the commissioner of the NBA. So
that's right.
Here he looks more like Malcolm X, but hey,
don't tell Adam Silver, he doesn't need to know. LeBron's really running the league, and it's fine. Yeah, the commish. All right, Tucker Carlson, of course, will henceforth be known as Fuckboy Number One. That's a promotion for him. He was previously Fuckboy Number 23, but he's now Fuckboy Number One. Yeah,
especially with that picture that we have on the channel right now.
Do you know that when Biden gave his speech earlier this week, he gave a speech about the coronavirus and the relief package that passed the Congress? Fox News covered the speech, but they added something special. They added the Tucker Carlson reaction window. And so they just had a little window in the bottom of the screen with Tucker's face watching Biden's speech and sort of grimacing and looking quizzical and just sort of shaking his head and being confused. That's like Tucker's main look. He didn't say anything, and there was no commentary or live tweeting or anything. It was just 15 minutes of Joe Biden talking with Tucker Carlson wincing in the corner. I don't know what to make of that, but I think it's excellent television. All right. Let's see. Number 5. Brian, you're the expert on this.
Yeah. The lovely former, I will say right now, I would say she's the former Duchess of Sussex, or Sussex. So pretty much Sussex, whatever.
There you go.
Let's put it that way. But anyway, she's going to be renamed and retitled as Her Royal Wokeness. Yes, right. Miss Meghan Markle. So with all the things that have been happening in the last year with her and her husband and the royal family. So she's all woke up, which is true.
That's right. Yeah, she's her royal wokeness, and that's fantastic. All right, let's see. Number 6. Now, this was a complicated one because this person recently obtained a bunch of new titles. She became the winningest Grammy-winning female artist in history at 28 Grammys. She beat Alison Krauss, who had 27 Grammys, by the way. The reason Alison Krauss had 27 Grammys is because she's the best female bluegrass singer in the country because there's 4 of them. And and she's really good. I love Alison Krauss. I have a lot of her records. As a matter of fact, at our wedding, we danced to her version of the Keith Whitley song, When You Say Nothing at All. It's a great song. She's amazing at everything she does, but she's up against hardly any competition. There's nobody at her level in the bluegrass world. So she just wins all the time. But anyway, having eclipsed her is Beyonce. Now, most people know her as Queen Bee, but she has now added Empress of Music and Commander of All Women. Commander of All Women is the title previously held by, of course, Oprah. Oprah was the commander of all women in America. Now Beyonce is their leader. And that's just how it works. Look, fellas, get down, man. Get down with the program. Beyonce says.
I may have to protest on that. I
think there are women who don't love Beyonce?
I don't think there's as much as a lot of people think that. Let's put it that way. Okay. I think she's more of a cult leader than an empress. So keep that in mind. I digress.
If Brian gets drone struck by her by the Queen Bee herself, don't blame me.
I got plenty of raid in my cabinet to handle the beehive. So
coming for the beehive, Jesus, Brian.
Oh yes,
man. All right, that's going to be a whole another topic for another show.
Rihanna Navy all the way. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. She has a Navy.
Yes.
All right. Do they also lose to Notre Dame? All right. That was very funny. All right, go ahead, Brian. You got number 7 there.
Well, speaking of Beyonce, why not we talk about Beyonce's former best friend, Kim Kardashian? As we all know that she is going through a divorce with Kanye. So she felt like she got something out of the whole preliminary hearings and felt that, hey, after she gets the divorce and she wins everything, she's going to be known as the new CEO of the rebranded Skimmies. That's her Skim brand and those silly Yeezys, and mix it all together. And they finally going to put out some decent looking clothing for once, because I cannot stand those Yeezy shits.
That Yeezy stuff doesn't make any sense. It is very Kanye though, because it's like, if Kanye was actually a pair of shoes, it would look crazy and disjointed, just like the Yeezys. So I don't blame them for doing that. All right. Well, whatever. Also, I think Kanye recently was listed as one of the richest folks in this country, which is great, right up until Kim K is about to get half of it.
Yeah, she's going to get half.
Half. I saw Johnny Carson, and he was looking like this, and I thought, half. Yeah. All right. And what's this number 8? This is late breaking.
Very late breaking. So everyone, mind you, there's a lot of drama going on over in the Skull Island. So we got Godzilla and King Kong. They're doing this big, huge battle later in the month. But unfortunately, things went crazy, and they fell into a Zack Snyder Justice League death trap. So pretty much Godzilla's nephew, Godzooky, and Donkey Kong Jr. have been renamed as the co-kings of the monsters. So this is why a lot of people do not like Zack Snyder, because he pretty much screw up everything. So they screwed up the Monsterverse already.
I feel like the argument there comes down to who has opposable thumbs.
Yes.
So, the big advantage for the monkey. All right, well, there you go. So those are all of the titles that have been changed in, of course, because the great Elon has changed his title to the Tech Knocking. It's... Remember, like, his kid has some name that nobody can pronounce, and that, like, he and his wife also say differently. So, like, I'm not surprised about this. He's great at making cool stuff. He's just not good at naming anything. Like, what shall we call this new Tesla, the third one we've made? I know, the Model 3. Sure you don't want to give it a name, Elon? No, 3. 3 is the number. That's it. It's the third car. That's what we're going to call it. Yeah. Okay, well,
he wants to keep it simple, but still make it complex. That's
Elon's a weird dude. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into the rundown where we're going to tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news, and we will talk about the thing that everybody knows that we need to talk about, but we will try to keep it, on pace. We're not going to turn this into the Baltimore moment, because we've learned that otherwise that's all this show is and nobody watches it anyway. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network.
Oops. Uh-oh.
Happy holidays. I mean, fathers matter too, right? Hey, look, I told her pick up them toys. Pick up them toys. Hey, pick up them toys. Pick up them toys. Yeah, yeah. Pick up them toys. Yeah, yeah. Hey, pick up them toys. Pick up them toys. Hit the baby with the clean out the room. Clean out the room. Clean. Clean out the room. Clean out the room. Clean. Clean out the room. Clean out the room. Clean. Clean out the room. Tell her pick up them toys. Hey, pick up them toys. Pick up them toys. Yeah, yeah. Pick up them toys. Hey, pick up them toys, pick up them toys. Hit that baby with the clean out the room, clean out the room, clean, clean out the room, clean out the room, clean, clean out the room, clean out the room, clean, clean out the room. I said, pick up them toys. up them blocks. Throw them in the box, yeah, pick up them blocks. Hey, pick up them blocks, throw it in the box, take that baby with it, clean out the room, 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 clean. Hey, look, I said pick up them toys. Hey, pick up them toys, yeah, pick up them toys. Hey, pick up them toys, hit the baby with the clean out the room, clean out the room, clean out the room, clean out the room, clean out the room.
All right, welcome back to Tip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me for this part of the show is the esteemed producer of this show, Brian, and that was somebody who may or may not be making a special appearance later. I feel like I don't want to give it away, but that might have been, well, it can't be a world premiere because I know I heard it one other place, but it's at least a Rip Radio Network premiere of that song, which is going to be a hit record. I can promise you every parent in this country needs that record. We're all going to buy it. We're going to play it and teach it to our children and teach them to pick up their toys. That's all that song is about.
I've been watching a lot of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and right now the first season, and his son does not pick up any of his toys. So I think that would have been a good song for him to be playing.
Well, for that show, it's important to have stuff for him to trip over. That's about 50% of the jokes on that show. So the toys are helpful. Dick Van Dyke's still with us, by the way, which is very important. He's part of the that trio or four guys, depending on how you count it, kind of invented comedy in the way we understand it. And so we need to keep him alive. Him and, we lost Reiner, but, him and Brooks and Norman Lear. So just put a bubble around those guys. They're old, but they're very, very funny and very, very important.
Yeah.
All right.
And they still got it. So
they still got it, and they're still funny. Yeah. All right, now we're coming to the part of the show. It's called The Rundown, where we're going to tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. Now, obviously, one of the things that's going on big time in the news right now is white supremacy, which is, kind of the thing we do here in this country. So what we do want to talk about a little bit is how we got to the story that a lot of people are talking about, which is the shootings in the Atlanta area at the spas by a crazy white supremacist who was lying about being a sex addict. I don't know. Let's talk a little bit about how we got there. And the way that how we got there is we have a country full of white supremacy. We have a political system that feeds white supremacy, and we have political leaders and an entire party, an entire half of the political establishment that is, at this point, now saying the quiet part out loud. They've been doing that a few other times, but this one got pretty explicit. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, he was on a conservative radio show, and they were asking him about the riots, the insurrection, the attack by white supremacist terrorists on the U.S. Capitol, where the Senate was in session at the time, certifying the votes for Joe Biden, and where he was. So Senator Johnson was in this building that came under attack by these guys, which we just saw a video of today, gouging the eyes out of Capitol police officers and bear spraying them and beating them to death. So there have been a lot of charges filed. The FBI is hard at work nailing these guys to the wall. But Senator Johnson apparently doesn't think this is a very big deal at all. On this show, he said, quote, "Even though those thousands of people that were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote, I knew those were people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement," the ones gouging the eyes out, "would never do anything to break the law, like, storm the Capitol. And so I wasn't concerned." Okay, cool, Ron, you're an idiot. But he continued, quote, "Now, had the tables been turned, and this could get me in trouble, had the tables been turned." There, you see where he said that? He was like, when an old white guy goes, "This could get me in trouble," he's about to say the N-word. That's what's going to happen. He's about to say the N-word or something like it. Here's what he said. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned. Okay. Senator Johnson, you said the quiet part out loud again. Remember, you're pretending that you're not a white supremacist, and you have to say, well, you know, all violence is bad. We know good goddamn well what people mean when they say that. They mean that white people violence is acceptable and other people kind of violence is not acceptable. But they usually at least maintain that veneer of deniability, I guess. Nah, we're done with that. Senator Johnson of Wisconsin is just outright saying all this stuff. Here's the best thing, though. He's up for re-election coming in 2022, and he probably is going to lose because of things like this. And so we just have to hope that he doesn't retire and they replace him with a better candidate because he's a dead duck right now. All right. So remember how he said that he wasn't afraid of the people who stormed the Capitol?
Right.
Okay. He probably should have been at least afraid of some of them, because here also this week, a story that an Army reservist with a secret clearance, you know, that's not the highest, but it's up there, clearance, was charged with storming the U.S. Capitol, and he was a well-known white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer. He worked as a contractor on a Navy base, and he was reprimanded by his supervisor for his Hitler mustache. If you're looking on the video, you are looking at this man whose name is
Timothy Hale Cusinelli.
Yeah, Cusinelli.
Cusinelli.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Couscous.
Yeah, right. Mr. Couscous here is shown doing his absolute best to look exactly like Hitler. He was at the rally, and he was charged with 7 criminal counts, including obstructing congressional proceedings, civil disorder, and disorderly conduct in the Capitol. He hasn't entered a plea, but they interviewed 44 people that he worked with, and 34 of them said that he had, quote, extremist or radical views pertaining to Jewish people, minorities, and women. He apparently went around asking new people at the office, hey, are you Jewish? And threatening everybody who was black or, you know, a woman or whatever. This guy was a violent, crazy white supremacist, actual Nazi. Like not, you know, like I call everybody a Nazi. This dude like had the mustache and everything. Everything. But Senator Johnson isn't afraid. Why do you think Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin isn't particularly afraid of an actual Hitler stash Nazi? Why is that? Let me do my Tucker Carlson impression. Why are you not afraid of the Nazis when they're storming your Capitol? Shouldn't you be afraid of Nazis? After all, we did fight a war to end Nazi occupation in Europe, but you're not afraid. Is that because you are also on the same side as those Nazis? That's how Tucker does.
That was perfect, though.
I'm getting good at it. I've been doing my research. Why is Tucker Carlson not afraid of the Nazi? Are we just not asking the right questions? Maybe we need to ask our elected leaders, why aren't you afraid of the Nazis? Because you're a fucking Nazi. So remember that Senator Johnson isn't afraid of the people who stormed the Capitol, despite the fact that they're not just card-carrying, but mustache-carrying Nazis. But, you know, they're law-abiding, peaceful people who just wanted to, you know, make a point. Who, as it turned out, killed a cop. They finally charged 2 people in the death of police officer Brian Sicknick, who was murdered by these terrorists as they stormed the Capitol. They charged these 2 guys, one from Pennsylvania, one from West by God. There is zero shock in that. These guys, of course, filmed themselves and had other people filming them while they planned to bear spray Officer Sicknick and then film themselves bear spraying Officer Sicknick in the most culpable way possible. So they spray him and they beat him to death, and, you know, that's it. The cop dies. But remember, Senator Johnson isn't afraid of them. because that's fine. They're not dangerous because they're white. Which gets us to where we are today. As most people know, earlier this week, a dangerous white man went on a shooting rampage in Atlanta and in a county, neighboring county, where he murdered 8 people, 6 of which were Asian women, 2 of which are notably not, but still they were working in these spas for, doing massage therapy and whatnot. This guy shows up at one of them, shoots everybody in the joint, and then drives an hour south into Atlanta, goes to 2 of them that are across the street from each other, shoots up one. The cops are responding to that shooting when they hear the gunshots across the street, go to that one. But don't worry, they safely arrested this guy with not a hair on his head being harmed. No word yet on whether or not they took him to Burger King, but it's a pretty good bet. A Waffle House, right. Listen, if you're a white supremacist who kills a lot of people in the South, when the cops get you, you're going to Burger King. So they arrested this guy, and immediately they started coming up with excuses why this wasn't a hate crime. The police went so far as to release what the suspect said, like in their interrogation. Have you ever heard of the police telling people what the suspect said after an interrogation?
Never.
The prosecutor was like, "Hey, you idiots, you just screwed our entire case up." But anyway, apparently what he said is, well, no, I wasn't shooting them because they're Asian. I was shooting them because I have a sex addiction, and these places were a temptation for me, so I had to do what was best for me, Okay. All right. Cool. Let's put a pin in that one. Then the sheriff's department that is holding him in custody went out and did a little press conference, and they sent their communications officer. This is the guy whose job it is to communicate with the public. So, you probably want somebody who is the sharpest you can find on the force with good facility and language and all that stuff. And what he did was he went out and told the police or the press, hey, this suspect, he was going through some stuff. He had a bad day. We've all had bad days, Hey, asshole, I've had many bad days. I've shot 0 people, even when I'm having a bad day. This doesn't seem to be an excuse. Then it turns out that same sheriff's deputy who told everybody that this guy who murdered 8 people was just having a bad day has all over his Facebook all kinds of Trump supporting and specifically anti-Asian, anti-Chinese stuff about the coronavirus. He was even had pictures of himself proudly wearing a shirt blaming China for the coronavirus and told everybody where they could get their own. Now, he went and tried to delete that, but as we know, the internet is forever, and so, no, you're not going to get away with that, sheriff asshole. Right. And so this is the situation that we're in. Understandably, the Asian community in this country has been fearful since this kicked off, but then made much, much worse by Trump and saying everything for a year and blaming Asian people all over this country for all of this stuff. And the reaction has been strong. The reaction has been very strong that people are making sure that they're looking out for this kind of hate. We're getting together. There was a rally in Chinatown yesterday, downtown in D.C.
Shout out to DJ Sid.
Right.
She's on the network, so I saw her out there.
Yeah, she was coordinating a lot of that. Yeah. And, it's important to have those high-profile voices out there speaking up on behalf of every marginalized community. But understand that we are still talking about marginalized communities, and that's really the problem. Why are we marginalizing anybody? Why are we in a society where we knew that the shooter was white by the fact that he was unharmed when he was arrested? That was a guarantee. We knew that. There wasn't any question. We probably knew he was white before he was arrested based on the profile of what happened and who goes on these kind of mass shootings, generally speaking. We have to deal with the fact that this country and the whole world has this weird sexual fetish towards Asian women and what that entails in terms of the way that people treat them or expect them to behave or anything. It's very strange. Now, Brian, you know more about weird shit than I do, but is there any reason for this? Where does this come from?
Honestly, I really think let's really add on something. I hate the fact that the media has still claimed him as a suspect, even though he fully admitted it. So that's why we always say alleged
shooter.
Yeah. Alleged shooter a lot, even after they admit it. But anyway, this particular individual, honestly, I felt like when they went into the interrogation room, because normally, I watch a lot of cop shows, and I figured it's like they'll drill him hard or whatever. But then again, I figured it's like this will be something out of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's something where it said, so hey, here's some English muffin breakfast. Since it's Burger King, so it'll be a croissant. So and give it to him, and then pretty much say, it's like, so tell me what's going through you? I said, man, I had a bad day, man. I was just sexually frustrated, and I couldn't get in. And it's like, oh, okay, I understand. All right, well, we'll leave it at that, and then walk out and do the PR bit. Honestly, to me, it's a joke. This whole thing is a sad joke that has gotten to the point where really it's no longer funny. Last year, or better yet, we can go on and say for decades, or centuries almost, but based off of social media aspects. Last year, it was majority of the whole Black Lives Matter, pretty much, the amount of the buildup of all the Black people who were killed for senseless reasons by excessive force by the police. Then we figured it's like, okay, we changed the guard. We got rid of the crazy rhetoric from the nut job as the orange peel. Figured things will calm down. No, this starts brewing up, and mind you, it didn't start brewing up here. And what I'm talking about is the anti-Asian stuff. This, I was like I said to you before the show we came on. I follow a lot of Asian Americans and Asian artists. Because I'm a huge fan of Japanese anime, and mind you, I know that Japan and Americans have this weird history, but I like their work. I like their actors, and I like their people, and I like their culture. It's a very, very absolutely intriguing culture that I would fully love to learn. I was over in Thailand for about a month a long time ago, and I wanted to stay even longer. But to this point here, it's like, how is it did you have a problem with a whole bunch of people who've been living here for probably 10, 20 years, and you end up starting one day just wanting to beat up an old Asian woman for no reason? And that's the sad part, is they're going after the weaker ones. You're not going after a young guy who probably knows, just knows how to fight, period. I'm not, going out there, so, you probably don't know any kung fu. And it's like, no, they just probably know how to fight. Because you don't
run up on some, healthy-looking 25-year-old. He's going to whoop your ass.
Right. So pretty much it's like they know how to take care of themselves. But no, you rather go after those 60 to 80 people who ride the whole senior citizen buses all the time. That's who you're going after, and that I hate. That's when I feel it's like, okay, you're going after the elderly. It's more than just going after Asian Americans. You're going after elderly people for what? And you're going to yell at them, say, "Go back home. You gave us the cool kung fu and all that stuff." And it's like, really? And to me, I just feel like this is again, it's that dumbass Trump rhetoric who put it out there and infested it and infested everybody who has that mindset. And it said it gave him, like everyone said, it gave him the fuel to do what they're doing.
Permission. It was
for pure permission. And it just goes into January 6th. He gave him permission.
He told him to do it.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So
he explicitly told him to do it.
Yeah. So I feel like all of this is it's a continuous circle, and the only mind you, it's like we can do this all the time. We can talk about it, and we can do the hashtags, we can do the marches, and all that stuff. But let's fully be honest here. There's got to be full-on repercussions, and we've yet to see it.
Right.
We have to wait for certain trials. Mind you, there's 2 trials going on. The one where the guy got killed for just running through doing a normal jog. We got that trial going
Ahmaud Arbery, yeah.
Ahmaud Arbery. You got, the
George
trial
Floyd.
with the police officer, George Floyd. And, until there's real repercussions from that, then in addition to what we saw yesterday and then earlier today with the old woman, she pretty much defended herself, beating the guy who was about to beat her up for, again, no reason.
Whooped his ass.
And hopefully there'll be repercussion is that. But if we don't see, if we're just going to see slap on the wrist, if we're going to continue to see these safety measures, mind you, if the guy who did the shooting yesterday, if he shot back at the police, he would have been dead. Let's be honest.
Maybe.
I think smartly he just figured it's like, oh, I'm going to be okay, so let me drop the weapon, let me get caught, and let me walk away.
That's right.
I get that, but honestly, it's like if you will get to the point where it's like, okay, after this, then what? I would like to see him be sent to jail or be let alone. I don't know if Georgia still has the death penalty, but he deserves it because this is ridiculous.
But what we're seeing here is the thing that we've talked about on this show before. Everybody blames Trump, and I always would tell everybody Trump is not the cause. He's the bright light that shines on this.
Yeah, he's not the cause, no.
And so what we're talking about here is now, absent Trump, we're still seeing this kind of stuff. So he did give people permission. He did open this space for this kind of thing, and he did throw fuel on that fire. What we've got now is we have to come to grips with the fact that, A, this country is fundamentally racist, that our laws and systems from our founding were founded on white supremacy, number one. Number two, white men in particular are fairly dangerous. Not necessarily any more dangerous than any other group, but they're not undangerous. And we have a system that treats white men as if it is nearly impossible for them to be the source of violence and danger. It is this. That's why the police didn't think that the January 6th insurrection was a real big deal until it happened, because they're like, they're a bunch of white guys. We can talk them out of it. They're just like us. That's the thing. We had this pre-understanding that white men are sort of generally good dudes, as they say, and harmless at best. But the fact is, they're not harmless. They're just as dangerous as any other group, and we need to remove this automatic deference to them. Yeah. Should we even be a little maybe more like, how about some jump outs on white men? How about the cops just randomly rolling around the LL Bean store and being like, hey, come here, and, pat that guy down through his fleece vest. He's up to something. I know it. You can't trust it.
Until they fully see the fact that they are suspicious individuals. Not everyone, it's one thing to say, I can walk in there, dressed like a, baggy jeans and mind you, the mask and all that stuff, and looking like I'm about to rob the place. Really, I'm not. I'm just going to, get something, buy a soda. But no, it's like, I will get the evil eyes. And mind you, again, I think a lot of white guys, they seem normal, so to speak. For some odd reason, and that's the thing. I feel like when it's not only to sense the fact of, unless you're gonna look at everybody that way, then it's just like that's why I feel like certain things, the way things are nowadays, it's gonna be weird all the time.
It is
for a lot of people. So, and until, again, I'm not saying everybody should be looked upon the same, which they should, but unfortunately it's not going to be. But you just deal with the situation at hand, or the possible situation at hand, and treat it equally like you should. So
I will be the one to say it. White men are scary to me. I don't like being around them. It freaks me out. When I see one walking towards me, I wouldn't want to cross the street. That's what I feel right now. And I'm one of them. So that's the thing. It's like, I have magic white guy powers. I can walk up to the cops and ask directions, or like, hey, is it okay if I go past the fence to go get this one thing? I just need to run in for a quick second. I have that power, and I've used it before. But that is got to stop. It's got to stop. And I don't like this. So,
right.
Okay, white guys, if there's any of you watching this show, you need to now carry around a little badge that says "Safe White Guy." That's what you need to do, just so just like how black guys have to wear glasses and smile at everybody just to not get shot. Now all the white people need to do something similar. They need to carry around a little, like, I don't know. Show me your voter card that you voted for Obama or something. Like, I don't know exactly what the thing is, but wear an Obama shirt. That's it. That's how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Wear an Obama shirt. I'm not going to be afraid of you. Not wearing an Obama shirt, you white guy, I'm afraid of you. That's how we do it. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our special guest is in the building, and we are going to talk to him. So I think if we can manage it, let's play his song again.
Oh,
so that when
I got another song, but
you've got even another song. Better.
Yeah, I have another song. I found another song. So.
Okay. Brian is so good at his job, it's unbelievable that we don't pay him. So here's what we're gonna do.
Where's my agent?
Yeah, right. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk to the one and only KB Michaelz. Woo! I know. Don't jump out of your seats. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Just wait. I know you got me on the friend list. Hey, babe, I'm trying to understand because I do not understand this. I really brother after brother swear they always do the same ish. Now you see he contemplating my fucking with some lame bitch. No, because you talking lame niggas. They come on, tell me what you really want from me. You don't want love and you want company. The few times I cried, you will comfort me. Told me only your mind, usually comfortably. I never really told you what I really want. But you know I need you in my life. You never really gave your heart to anyone. But I'm the only one you calling every night up in the friend list. Hey babe, I'm trying to understand because I do not understand it. But really other than the money, swear them niggas they don't have shit. Hey baby, need to know that you a queen fucking with an average. Nah, I mean it way below average. I know you got me on the friend list. Hey babe, I'm trying to understand because I do not understand it. But really, other than the money, swear them niggas they don't have shit.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on RIP Radio Network. I'm your host, Chip. Hanging out with us here is the esteemed producer, Brian, and that was our guest, KB Michaelz. Bring him up, Brian.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Look who is in the building. All right, now, some of you know who KB is. I think most of you know who KB is. KB is the former host of the second best show on Thursday nights on RIP Radio Network. He is now the owner of his own network and host of his own show and super producer of all things music, video, promotions, and productions. This guy is a true Renaissance man. He can do everything. He can do everything. He is doing everything. Right now, he's on this show while he's doing all of this other stuff. He's amazing. Welcome to Chip Chat, KB. Welcome.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
So earlier tonight, we played what I think is going to be your biggest hit record by a lot, which is the Pick Up Your Toys song. And
Definitely.
that is a great song. It's got a killer beat and all that, but I got one question here. It doesn't have any verses yet. It's just the hook. Are you working on some verses?
Actually, no. I when I initially wrote the song, I had one verse. And then I listened to like 1,000 kids songs. And literally the day that I went to the studio to record it, I just took the verse out. I was like,
they just like repeat stuff on kids songs.
Yeah, pretty much. They just want to dance. They want to have a good time. I felt like my verse would have made it for adults.
Right.
If that makes sense, where the repetitiveness, which would make it feel redundant to us, of course, but to kids, they'll dance.
Oh, yeah.
1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And you know, when you have a child that's like 2 years old, 3 years old, you want them to dance their way to sleep.
Yes. Yes, that is the goal. Yeah, so like I get like 15 hours of John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt, on repeat. That song just loops, and so I needed something like this. So I can't wait. I played a little clip of it for him tonight, but they were already kind of sleepy, so they didn't get up. But they needed to go pick up their toys, is what they needed to do. All right, so KB, before we get into the funny stuff. I was on your show earlier this week. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody about that show, the Bridging the Gap show, and kind of what it does and what the goal here is.
Bless. All right, so BTG Radio Show is pretty much predominantly literally for exactly what it says. It's literally here to just bridge the gaps from local to global, international, whomever we're dealing with. It's there to do exactly that. The show you came on, man, we had a blast. I think everyone in the building knew we were there that night.
Shocking.
Definitely. But no, the show was just really for us local people to actually find a way to get connected more on an international level. My network was sponsored by BET. Of course, for a lot of reasons, we don't put BET logo up because we also work with MTV, VH1, and Revolt. So it'll really go backwards if we put BET up, and then, we won't be able to utilize the other networks if we start blasting their logos everywhere. But they kind of, since they brought us into the game, people who come on our show, we like to try to send them out. Or even if you have a business and you're trying to get your brand on national television, we're the ones that kind of set that up for you.
There you go. So if you want to get famous, call KB. All right, let's talk about something that happened to me, but that I need everybody's guidance on because this, I think, is possibly a common occurrence. Uh-oh. Here's what happened. You might be flipping through Instagram and you see, or Facebook, and you see a video of a product that you might like. It's usually a little commercial kind of thing, and it's showing like a cool gizmo, or in my case, I think it was a watch that they showed me, like, hey, look at this cool thing. Don't you want this cool thing? And, the video worked. Yes, I want the cool thing. Click here. Cool. Click here. Oh, you can buy it. It's $29.99, and you can do it with PayPal. All right, cool. I'm going to do it. Now, here's the thing. I think everybody knows that a pretty good chunk of these things are scams, right?
Yeah.
They're showing you a video from some other company, and they just want you to click buy. But, a few of them turn out okay. I've gotten the right thing enough times to make me want to do it. And so it's with PayPal anyway, so I'm protected, right? If they send me junk or it never gets to me or whatever, I don't like it, I can always dispute it and get my money back. No harm, no foul. It's not a big deal. It's a safe way to at least attempt this. Mm-hmm. All right, so here's what happened. I saw one of these videos. It was something that I wanted that was cool. I can't remember. Oh, it was a watch. It was a watch. And I was like, I'm going to get that. And I clicked on the thing, and it's like, all right, $47 with shipping, all told, PayPal. Boom. Usually what happens after that is they send you an email with a tracking number. And sometimes the really scammy ones, you can tell right away because the tracking number is dead. It doesn't go anywhere, and it's nothing. Other times they give you a tracking number and you follow its progress through the shipping, and it seems like it just keeps moving back and forth. It never actually leaves wherever it's at. It's just always like preparing shipment, shipped. And then it's like preparing shipment, shipped. And it's like, all right, they got me. I'll go ahead and dispute it, whatever. But this time, something different happened. I got a shipping label or, a tracking number, and it was moving. And it was heading towards me. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually going to get this thing. This one wasn't a scam. I can't wait. So I'm following. And finally I see package delivered. So I go to my mailbox on my way home. I stop in the mailbox, and I pull out the package. And it's very, very thin and very, very light. But the tracking number is real. And it's got like all of the, where it's been and the customs forms and all this stuff. Something's going on here. Mm-hmm. What is in this package? Is it empty? It's not empty. I could feel something, right? And the customs declaration on it has the word pendant. It says it's a pendant. Well, okay, that's not a watch, but it's a pendant. What did the Chinese scam artist send me for my $47? Anybody want to guess?
I already know. So
Brian knows. KB, you got a guess?
Not at all. They probably sent you a quarter.
Very close. Very close. They sent me a smiley face button all the way from China. Yes. So they still paid to ship this and clear customs and, God knows what else to keep up the ruse that they were sending me the thing that I ordered so I wouldn't dispute it in time or something. But then they sent me that. Now, here, somebody else that isn't me might be mad about this. But that's an excellent level of trolling. That is a fantastic prank. Yes, an international prank that involves a smiley emoji for somebody who fell for a scam. What would you do if you got this, KB?
First of all, I don't care what they sent. I'm getting my money back.
Oh, yeah, I already disputed the thing. I'm going to get my money back. That's not. I wouldn't be laughing about it otherwise.
The second thing is, bro.
It's pretty good, right?
Bro, the fact that they actually took their time to package that and then mail that off to you.
Yeah.
Is hilarious.
It is, isn't it?
The fact that it came with the tracking number and you can watch it all the way to your house is hilarious. Now, my biggest question is, what kind of watch was it supposed to be?
Oh, it was supposed to be a watch that has Nixie tubes as the display. Nixie tubes are an old Soviet technology. They look like little amplifier tubes, but they have numbers in them. So when you put power to the number, it lights up inside of it, sort of like a little red LED. It's sort of a retro-looking thing.
Okay,
and
something that actually a lot of people might want to buy.
They might want to buy it, yeah, and it's kind of cool looking, and I'm into that kind of, exposed electronics kind of thing. I like that stuff. I like tubed amplifiers, for example, and I like to look at them glow and all that.
I think it's hilarious, the fact that they actually got somebody's. They probably got a factory over there, people just with smiley faces.
Yeah, somebody's job was to put the smiley face in the package and mail it to me. Like, they had to take it down to the post office and everything.
I want to meet the person who thought of this. That's all I want.
It's brilliant, right? I think we ought to get him on the show. Be like, look,
really?
This is a very good prank. What's next?
You hear me? They got to wear the mask.
Right. Yeah. You can't let them know who it's got to be like the Masked Singer. Yeah. Well, so what should we get them to mail to other people? What should we have them mail to Ted Cruz, for example?
Oh God.
I mean,
how about his let's see, some traveling vouchers?
Yeah, I was going to say boarding pass to Cancun, of course.
Cancun, yep.
Yeah, what would we have them send to Tucker Carlson? There's an obvious answer to this.
If you know who the hell Tucker is.
A frozen Swanson TV dinner. Remember that Tucker Carlson is the heir to the Swanson TV dinner fortune. So yeah, you just mail him a TV dinner, with the gravy and all that stuff. I love this idea. Gravy. It's really funny.
Yeah, I think that's petty, but I love it.
Yeah, it's the right kind of petty. It's really funny. All right. The next question for KB and his vast wisdom and knowledge is involving a natural phenomena that is about to strike us here in DC. Now, many people around the country have this same thing happen to them at different times, but we are about to experience Brood X, 17-year cicadas. We had another brood a few years ago that was, so most of these are 17-year cicadas, but they're on slightly different cycles. This is one of the biggest ones. Now, a lot has happened in the DC area in the last 17 years. And one of the things that is likely to happen is some of these little things are going to try to, dig their way up out of the ground and bump their heads against some pavement that's there that it wasn't there 17 years ago. I'm specifically thinking of out in like Tyson's or over by FedEx, which is, massively built up since then. But there's something really interesting about these cicadas that are coming up, and I want to know. You can eat them. You can eat the cicadas. Apparently they taste like shrimp. They've been underground for 17 years, and so what you got to do here is catch them when they're coming up. They come up out of the ground, they climb up the tree, and then they pop out of their shells, and that's when they have their wings and stuff, and then they're big and, with the big red eyes. You got to catch them before they pop out of their shells, and then you can cook them. Apparently that's when they're softest. When they first emerge, they'll be kind of green in color, and after a few hours, they'll harden. And let's see. Scientists say that you'll most likely find the soft cicadas in the morning hours. She says that you can still eat them once they harden, but you should expect a little extra crunch. You also want to pull up the wings because, like corn kernels, they get stuck in your teeth. There are a couple dozen recipes for how to specifically prepare cicadas. This scientist is planning on taking an old shrimp skewer dish her grandmother has made for ages and substituting in the insect. She also recommends boiling them first to quickly kill and clean them. So you got to get them while they're alive and throw them in a pot, just like you would with like a lobster or crabs or crayfish or something like that. All right, KB, you eating cicadas or what? We doing this?
Hell no. I don't believe that was the question. Like, look, I'm over here sitting there like, all right, who the hell took their time to sit down and not only tell you that you can eat them, they gave you recipes.
Apparently Isa Betancourt of the Academy of Natural Sciences at Drexel going up against Illinois, I think maybe tomorrow in the big dance. If they win, it's because they're cicada powered. If they win as a 16
so that's what's in their vitamin juice.
Listen, if Drexel, the 16 seed, knocks off Illinois after eating cicadas, you can guarantee that next year it won't just be UMBC eating the cicadas. Somebody is going to do it.
Get the hell out of here. So what kind of powers are you supposed to get from these teams?
I don't think you get powers from them. I think you just can eat them. I don't think it's like you should eat them. It's just that like you can.
So let me get this right. We chose the one bug, insect, that has been marinating under the ground for 17 years.
Yep.
To decide to have a worldwide eating contest with?
I don't know that there's a contest.
I hope not.
But essentially, yeah. Look,
It's
you
giving
eat all
context to
kinds of
me.
stuff that's been
Context.
doing stuff for like ever. You don't even know what the journey a lobster has taken before he gets yanked out of the ocean and end up in your plate. But
I know it's meat. I know it's meat in there though.
Right. Well, there's meat in the cicada.
Really now?
I mean, they're pretty big bugs. They're huge.
We used to hit them with baseball.
I can understand a cricket because a lot of people have been lately. Crickets have been known as the tasty morsel, but
and cricket flour, you can get the
cricket flour,
sure.
But cicadas.
So, are you afraid of cicadas? Because I know a lot of people are afraid of them. Are you afraid of them?
Nah, they never bothered me.
Oh.
When we were kids,
they get annoying.
They're very loud. Everybody knows they're very loud.
Grade.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, one of the fun things to do was, they're kind of dumb. So you can just pick them up and, just put them on your arm and watch them crawl around. They don't mind being played with. They're pretty, amenable to whatever you're going to do. But they're just loud and they got those big red eyes, which is excellent for scaring girls. If you're if you're 6-year-old me, cicadas were excellent. Come here. But so Brian, would you eat them?
Hell no.
Hell no. What would it take to make you eat them?
Unless it was a crazy challenge, which I will never be a part of. No. I mean, after you said it tastes like shrimp, and it's like, look, I had a nice shrimp dinner earlier.
Literally,
I mean, there's no comparison. Just it just doesn't seem comparable.
So do they cook them or do they just eat them?
No, you got to cook them. So, like shrimp, they're arthropods. Arthropods are basically invertebrates with exoskeletons and segmented bodies. So they're not very different anatomically speaking than, say, a shrimp or a crawdad or a lobster. They're related. They're very similar. So
I mean, that's good to know if like zombies attack in the next 17 years and then we got to do something. Maybe then, but right now,
survival tactics. Yeah.
If you really are zombie ready, you will be ready to eat these cicadas.
Hey, listen. Either $1 million or a zombie apocalypse to get me right.
There you go. That's all right. That sounds pretty good. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break to go find and fry up some cicadas for KB to eat.
You may find them.
And what if it turns out they're really good and you got to wait 17 years to eat them again?
Here's a challenge for you, Chip. Once they come up, you try it out and let us.
I'm gonna catch them. I gotta catch them and cook them. And I'm gonna let you know.
Treat it like a Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all.
Hey, listen, with enough Old Bay, everything is good. So I'm not worried about it.
Everything's okay.
That's right. Absolutely. So I'm gonna go build a cicada trap, so we can feed KB next week when they pop up. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to find out who the real victim is. And we've got a number of excellent real victim stories for you this week. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Chip Chat on RIP Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stand by. I gotta find something.
Uh-oh.
I got one. Cool.
Shit.
Got that.
More fish. Don't you see the look in his eyes? More fish. Why the fuck you seem so surprised? More fish. Now waiting for it starts to align. More fish. Before my family know I survive. More fish. Don't you see the look in his eyes? More fish. Why the fuck you seem so surprised? More fish. Now waiting for it starts to align. More fish. Before my family know I survive. More fish. I'm making up money. Used to be broke, presidential swag, and not a single vote. By any means necessary, that's my favorite quote. I'm chomping on the game, and bitch never choke. Family so danger, me. Saying the military got all the fun to me. Couldn't say my definition of fun is fucking mean too. Yeah, I read and book, ain't that fun to me too. But I'm on my grind, these bitches never mind. You get it on my lap, but I ain't giving them no time. See my mama in the struggle, shit that almost had me crying. Roll that J.S. fucking head, promise mama we gon' shine. And I know I need to show it, but it won't get on my mind. You bitch know this on the door, already working overtime. And I won't go to no door, cause I can't afford the time. And I swear this weight is heavy, but it won't collapse this time. Don't you see the look in his eyes? Motivation. Why the fuck you seem so surprised? Motivation. Not waiting for it starts to align. Motivation. From the family, over survive. It's motivation. Don't you see the look in his eyes? Motivation. Why the fuck you seem so surprised? Motivation. Not waiting for it starts to align. Motivation. From the family, over survive. I never make my fucking problems to my brother. He looking to bad me on Cheney, man, it's going down. Even when no one around, don't you dare go show that front. I told you that we watch, and we don't run that. They don't believe in the count, even when the lost and found. Yeah, we out on big dog, let them pussy just me out. And I know it's been a while, but I still be looking out. I like this like a comic book. The haters get the swinging like.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Rip Radio Network. I am your host, Chip. With me is the one and only KB Michaelz and our esteemed producer, Brian. All right, Brian, who was that?
That was KB.
That was KB.
Yeah.
Oh man, this guy is famous.
Yes.
Man, I appreciate it, man. You threw that one back for me right there.
That was an old song. Yeah. What? All right, tell everybody about that song.
Oh man, I want to say that was like my first step into music for me.
Really?
For real. Yeah, I had to be like 20, 21 years old when I actually.
So like 2 years ago?
I wish.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I turned 30 in a month.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and do something about it. But no, it was one of them songs that really got really deep for me. It was literally my motivation. Talking about my mother, my father's stories I've never touched on, events I've went through, and just showing the fact that no matter what I'm going through, even still after all these years, I'm going to find a way by any means necessary.
There you go, KB, the ultimate hustler. All right, so. Now we're going to play a game called The Real Victim. Now, the way that this works is we're going to read a news story, and then we have to figure out who the real victim is. It's never the obvious answer. You know, guy robs a bank and gets run over by, I don't know, a car running out the bank. Who's the real victim there? Well,
right.
Obviously, the road crew that has to clean that stuff up. Okay, so that's how the game works. Is everybody ready? All right,
Yep.
That meant that they're ready. Okay.
Yeah, everybody like this. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's radio.
It's radio. Okay. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who does not stand up for Texas, suggested on Sunday that H.R. 1, which is the bill that passed the House and is now sort of bouncing around in the Senate, the sweeping election reform bill recently passed by the House, could eventually result in, quote, using cocaine to buy votes. Appearing on Fox News Sunday morning, Abbott insisted to host Maria Bartiromo that the bill aimed at improving voting access would actually try to institutionalize voter fraud in the United States because it would expand the use of mail-in voting. Now, obviously, nobody's mailing each other cocaine, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about. And, of course, as a Republican, he's probably full of shit. What he eventually told everybody is that people can, walk around giving out stuff to try to buy people's votes. And maybe they're going to give out cocaine to get people to vote their way. Like, hey, vote for my guy and I'll give you some coke. Random person. All right. Who's the real victim here of vote buying with cocaine?
I didn't know that anyone was losing. I thought it was a win-win.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody wins. So what if you're not a cokehead and like, guy walks up to you and is like, hey, vote for my guy and I'll give you some coke. You're like, no, I don't like coke.
Still, I don't do coke, never touched it. You feel me? Yeah. I never put anything obscene in my body. But if you give me some free shit, I might sell it to the next dude. You know what I'm saying?
But also, it's a secret ballot. So, like, yeah, I'll take your shit, but I'm going to vote the way I was going to vote anyway. Like, how are you going to know?
I can take that.
Yeah. So what H.R. 1 actually is trying to make it so that states have to have more mail-in voting, more early voting, more absentee voting, basically letting everybody vote that wants to vote instead of this weird thing where you have to vote on a weekday, and if you can't take off of work, tough shit, and just, look, the Republicans are fighting this tooth and nail. And again, as we talked about earlier, they're saying the quiet part out loud. They went in front of the Supreme Court and said, we don't want more people to vote because then we will lose. And the judges were like, wait a minute. You don't think that you would, if more people voted, any of them would vote for you? And they go, no, of course they wouldn't. We're evil and awful. All right. So who's the real victim here in all of this?
Obviously, the person selling the person who's giving up the coke, because he ain't got no money.
Because he just got had by every voter that's just going to do what the fuck he was going to do anyway, but took the coke.
It's at least Brian, a 30% chance,
right?
Yeah. I was thinking of the Colombian drug lord that, down in Bogota. Right? He's losing a lot of money, for all that. It's like, who's giving away my products?
Absolutely.
Get Sonny Crockett here. I don't care.
That's right. The real victim, of course, is Governor Greg Abbott, who went on national television to show everybody that not only do his legs not work, but neither does his brain, and now everybody feels really sorry for him. He has to ride the short bus to the governor's mansion. Okay. This one, I think, is our no, this is not our Florida or not. This is just an actual story. So let's see if what we think, who the real victim in this story is. In a sparkling silver dress, the homecoming queen of J.M. Tate High School in Cantonment, Florida, stood on the football field on a brisk evening in late October to accept her crown. But among the students, whispers already had begun spreading about her victory. The homecoming queen had bragged for years about abusing the access her mother had to student records as an assistant principal in the same school system. And witnesses later told investigators that she hacked the election. She rigged it. She got her mom to help her get the access to the thing and fraudulently crowned herself homecoming queen. Who's the real victim here?
Did she get fired?
Well, she's 17. She's a kid. But her mom, I don't know. Let's see. They were arrested and charged with fraudulently accessing confidential student information, according to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So, probably.
The real victim is whoever really won that competition. They the ones that got cheated out of the situation.
Good.
Actually,
Good
I think the real victim is the homecoming king, because now he doesn't know who's he going to date, and at the same time, knowing high schoolers, if it's Peggy down in C block, and he doesn't like her very much, he does not want to date her, and it'll be all over, and who knows what will happen.
I agree. I mean, she could have did all that because of the dude. Could be her crush.
Could be the reason. Could be.
The dude could be the reason.
I think that let's see. Oh, wait a minute. In 2019, a high schooler running for class president in Berkeley, California also hacked the vote and got, everybody's email and voted for himself. I think the real victim in this story
is the hell do you do that?
Well, if you have access to the system.
Have you seen any high school movie? Any John Hughes movie? Just look at 16 candles.
I went to a different kind of school. Everything we used to write our vote on a piece of paper and throw it in a bucket.
Yeah, well, Right. All of us did because we didn't have emails when we were in high school, but it's a different world now. The real victim in this is got to be the father/husband, right? Because like the daughter and the mom were colluding to commit this crime. He probably has no idea this is going on. All of a sudden, his wife and daughter have been arrested for, and he's like, what the fuck? Why? What? Honey? What? I made dinner. They're gone, and they're up in the clink, and he's stuck by himself with the dog. What did he do? He's the victim here. Can you imagine giving up your job? And if you make it to assistant principal somewhere in a school system, you've had a pretty long career. That's usually on your way. That's near the top, right?
Right.
What? Why would you throw that away to cheat to get your? And what kind of shit administrator are you that you think cheating is an acceptable way to becoming homecoming? Every other kid in that school is probably getting screwed out of any kind of decent education because she's probably like, yeah, just cheat on the test, you'll be fine. I'll fix it later.
Hey,
I don't think either any of them saw the movie Election with Matthew Broderick. They did see that movie.
I got her going to college with her too, doing the same thing. So
right, yeah,
it was given Protect My Child for all her life.
That's it. That's Aunt Becky 2.0. Buying your way into USC, you're cheating at homecoming queen. All right, this story here is just a headline from the AP, but this is special for Brian. This is right up his alley. Brian is an expert in this subject. Utah lawmakers have voted to require that every cell phone and tablet sold in the state automatically block pornography. The proposal is the conservative state's most recent move targeting online porn. Now, this is dumb and obviously wouldn't stand up to any kind of judicial review. However, that's not the punchline. The governor says he'll sign the bill. What is the name of the governor who wants to ban pornography?
Oh, that wasn't a rhetorical question.
No, that's a real question.
Well, I don't know. But what I am going to tell you, whether he's a Republican or a Democrat, whichever one he is,
he's a Republican. If he's banning porn, he's a Republican.
Ever in my life.
Well, you don't live in Utah, so you don't have to worry about that. The governor who wants to ban pornography is named Spencer Cox. Mr. Cox has had just about enough porn, and he is tired of everybody asking about all of the cocks in Utah. And if they're asking about Cox and not voting for him, he doesn't want to have it. That's no go.
They probably put his name up, and he gets mad when porno pops up.
Right? Yeah. Somebody goes, Governor Cox. It's like, no, I've already seen that one. I want Governor Cox 3. Governor Cox starring Greg Abbott of Texas. Oh my God, that's bad. All right, let's keep this moving right along. Let's try Florida or not, KB. Let's see if you can get this one right. The way that this works is we read you the story, and you have to determine whether this happened in Florida or not in Florida.
Oh God.
Okay, and don't look
Florida
ahead.
Got the one-of-a-kind stories.
Well, usually, yeah. So you got to figure this out. You ready? Prosecutors say he drove a vehicle loaned to him by a car dealership to rob a bank in this place and brought the money back to try to use it for a down payment on a BMW. Now Eric Dion Warren is headed to prison. Warren, who pled guilty to bank robbery, has been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. According to court documents, it was during the summer of 2019 when Warren went into a bank and walked up to the teller. The 50-year-old then put a bag from a fast food restaurant and a note on the counter. The note read, "This is a fucking robbery. Play with me and die. I want $10,000 in $50 and $100 bills. Now you got 1 minute or I will kill you." After showing the teller the note, Warren pulled out what looked like a handgun and said, I ain't playing around. I only want hundreds and fifties. The teller gave Warren money from her drawer, including stacks of $20 bills and with recorded serial numbers. Uh-oh. Warren later admitted that after getting the cash, he drove away in a vehicle that had been loaned to him by a car dealership. He had been there earlier and was in the process of finalizing a sale. So he was basically on a test drive. Officials say it was about 15 minutes after the robbery when Warren went back to the dealership in the loaned vehicle and began literally waving cash around. He eventually went into the finance office and tried to finalize the purchase on a BMW with $3,000 cash down payment. But it fell apart when the authorities called the car dealership to warn them that there had just been a bank robbery in the area. He was arrested and with more than $5,000 on him, with the serial numbers, of course, and a painted pellet gun that he had tried to use to look like a real gun. Okay, did this happen in Florida or not in Florida?
No, it's not giving me Florida vibes.
Because explain your answer.
Because that's just an idiot. I feel like that's Virginia. I feel like anything that happens in Florida deals with a random white guy and an alligator, or
you're very close to right. Yes, often there's gators and meth.
Yeah, pretty much. You know what I mean? This one is giving me the ratchet parts of Virginia activity.
Okay. All right. I don't know how I feel about that, representing the Commonwealth here, but yeah. All right. Brian, do you have a guess?
Oh, it's not Florida. I know it's not Florida.
It's not Florida.
It's. I mean, one. It's more of extra city. You know, or very very urban, ultra urban. It's like something you tell like could happen in like Chicago or Detroit. You know, or maybe, like you said, Scuttlebuckets of Virginia. I mean, who knows where.
All right, you ready for the answer? It was in Wolforth, Texas. Texas.
I knew that wasn't Florida. It had to be somewhere with like open space and
right.
You know what I mean? Like it was giving me he had too much free time. 50 years old trying to rob a bank to buy a car.
Right. Bold move, black guy pulling off a bank robbery in Texas. And he lived. I'm shocked. That's
this is true.
Yeah, Texas, not great. Speaking of Texas, you know, in the wake of what happened with the shootings in Atlanta, there was a hearing in Congress today about hate crimes and about specifically these hate crimes targeting Asian Americans. And a representative from Texas named Roy something or other decided that the way to address this was to remind everybody that these victims deserved justice, and that back in the day in Texas, they used to get justice by getting all the rope in Texas and a tall oak tree and executing judgment themselves. That's exactly right. He used lynching as his solution to a hate crime publicly and in front of everybody. Yeah, I'm not making any of that up. That was a direct quote.
Then. Yeah, let's find
all the roads in Texas. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Gotta love Texas.
Gotta love Texas. Don't mess with Texas. Matter of fact, get rid of Texas. We don't need Texas. Nothing good comes from Texas. Oh, speaking of Texas, though, it's back in the news here. Let's see. The Louis Tussaud waxwork in Alamo Plaza in San Antonio, so it's sort of a famous wax museum. They have had to do something because they have a problem with one of the things that is going on with one of their figures down there at this Texas wax museum. They've got a figure, a dummy of Trump. Of course they do. You know, it's a dummy of a dummy. But something keeps happening to this wax figure of Trump that they had to take it down. Any idea what could be happening to this wax figure?
Well, maybe based off the picture, it could be his hair. I don't know.
Could be his hair, right? That'd be a good guess. Maybe like that people are snatching it off the the top of his head, or people making hair jokes with it.
Yeah.
But no, that is not why they had to take this down. Why? You want to take one more guess?
Well, compared to the golden statue that we saw a couple of weeks ago, it's probably melting. I wouldn't really know.
It's okay. Good guess. Good guess. No, it is not melting. Apparently, people keep punching it and scratching it and beating it up. And so they have to keep repairing the statue because it keeps getting its ass whooped. The tourists are coming into the wax museum, and they do the thing, right? You want to take a picture with the fake famous person, put your arm, and that's right there. But when they get to the Trump one, they put their arm and then they put him in a headlock and start punching him in the face. And they've had to rebuild this thing. I think they said they had to rebuild it like 3 or 4 times, and that's when they decided that this was enough. See, apparently Trump is now in good company, sharing storage space with George Washington, W.C. Fields, and 30 other wax figures. They had to get rid of him because he was just getting his ass whooped all the time, apparently. We've always had trouble with the presidential section because no matter what president it was, they all have people beat them. The ears were torn off of Obama 6 times, and then Bush's nose was punched in. People are just more aggressive about their political party. Fantastic. All right, you hear that music, which means we've come to the end of the show. So I want to say thank you to Brian for basically doing double duty tonight. He ran the show and he was on the show, which, who knew he was so talented? And I want to, everybody knew because he does it to his own shows all the time. We want to say thank you to KB. KB had to drop off prematurely, but don't worry, he doesn't do anything else prematurely. He'll be back on, some other time. Go check his stuff out. You can check out his network. That's the Plugged In Radio Network, all one word, just like Rip Radio Network, pluggedinradionetwork.com. You can find all the stuff there. You can follow him on Instagram, all kinds of things. Follow the show. It's good stuff. You're going to like it. He's going to catch up to us. So, pretty soon we'll be part of that same universe and he can come back to the big leagues here at Rip Radio. All right. I want to say thanks to all of our radio partners, all those folks at Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, Google, TuneIn, Pandora, Amazon, basically everywhere, anywhere you get your shows. We want to say thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week, we assume, although we have no idea. And we want to say thank you, of course, to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as those stimmies sliding through all of everybody's hands. Get the check and spend it. It's not a stimulus if you don't spend it. Spend your check. Don't sit on it. All right, Brian, where can they follow you on the social medias and all that kind of good stuff?
You can follow me on BTB Picks. No Trump. I'm not changing it. And also check us out next Friday night at 8 p.m. where we'll have game time. Again, it's old school Brewha going up against the Brunch Bitches.
It's going to be a great show. You don't want to miss it. I've got a rooting interest in this. I'm hoping Anissa pulls it out. She's my favorite. And, anyway. Okay. You can find me on the Twitter at Chef Chip. You can find the show on Twitter at ChipChatRR. And you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Rip Chip Chat. And you can, of course, find us every Thursday night at 9:30 here on Rip Radio Network. I'm Chip. That's Brian. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Rip Radio Network.